Well, have you ever thought about turning your passion for writing into a reliable income stream while building a loyal community of readers who eagerly anticipate every single word you're going to write? Well, subscription based serialization could be the perfect solution. Whether you're writing short stories, epic novels, or even nonfiction, this model allows you to deliver your work in manageable, engaging pieces that keep your audience hooked. It's not just about releasing content, it's about creating a relationship with your readers that grows with each new installment. Now, by the end of this video, hopefully, you'll learn how to, or at least hopefully, I'll be able to explain the process on how to effectively start your own serialized subscription model, from picking the right platform to maintaining reader engagement. Now, you'll also discover key strategies for balancing creativity with the business side of writing. Remember, on this channel, we love discussing business as well. So, the Writer's Guide to Earning with Subscription Based Serialization. Now, but Thomas, what is subscribed based serialization? Well, this is becoming one of the most exciting new trends in the digital writing world. If you've not heard about this or have not seen anything, I highly recommend doing some research on it. I'm sure back in the old days with blogs and websites that allowed people to write chapter by chapter each week or every month, this is a way to do that, but to turn it into a financial process platform. All right. So there are currently platforms like Substack, Patreon, Wattpad, which allow writers to release content regularly, whether it's weekly chapters, exclusive behind the scenes content, or even early access to finished works. Now, these platforms, I'm sure you know, offer traditional publishing. I'll repeat that. These platforms offer something different than traditional publishing. It's more of a direct, ongoing relationship with your readers instead of a, hey, I'm working on a book, it'll be out on this date, please buy it. So instead of waiting for months or even years to publish a completed book, you can share your journey and your story with an engaged audience. This creates one of those like relationships like, oh, I just finished this chapter, or there's another coming out, right? So subscription-based serialization also gives you more control over your work and how you monetize it. Think of serialized content as an ongoing conversation with your reader. It's not just a novel broken into pieces, but rather an interactive experience. Your readers become invested in the journey, eagerly awaiting the next installment, right? Especially if you start building these stories with them. The consistent engagement helps build loyalty and keeps the conversation going between releases, from comments to polls to even feedback on plot twists, which will also help you in refining the book when you do a special release on it. Um, like the director's cut. So we're going to explore some ways you could do this. Let's start with setting up a serialized story. Now, when setting up a serialized story, you got to pick a platform. Okay. You could do it through your own website if you could create a money source payment wall. If you have a Substack or Patreon, if you use Venmo, you could be like, just pay me Venmo and you get on the newsletter and then I send you stuff. But to do this, you do have to create a landing page, right? So whether it's Patreon or Substack, when you're marketing this thing, you need to have a strong landing page. The landing page allows people to know what it is. And basically, you could add them to the newsletter. You can do whatever you have to do to sort of get in touch with them so you can start implementing these options for pay. Your landing page is ultimately acting like a storefront. It's where readers will decide whether to invest their time and money into your story. Make sure the page clearly explains what your story is about, what makes it unique, and how often readers can expect new episodes. Consider including a short, enticing excerpt. Right. So if you have something coming out, you could either do like a half of a chapter, you could do a whole chapter. If it's an older book, you could just be like, look, I'm going to give the first 5 chapters for free because I have maybe you have 4 books out. completed already. So you have a good backlog. So you go, look, you'll get the first 5 chapters for free. If you like this, then you can become a part of the subscription base. But then it comes down to something where you have to start thinking about subscription tiers. Okay. You want to offer different levels of content and allow readers to feel like they're a part of the exchange. For example, a free tier might offer access to the first few chapters. Like I said, give away, 5 chapters, whatever. Or it'll allow people, free updates on, your writing process. However, premier tiers could include early access to episodes or chapters, exclusive content like character backgrounds, and even interactive opportunities such as polls where readers can vote on minor plot points. They could be a part of the process. But you could also have behind the scenes. You could have live, a weekly video live where they can interact with you and talk to you, and you can talk about everything that has happened up to this point, right? So, but you want to make sure that each tier represents something valuable that stands with your brand. So like who you are, what you are, and the things you care about should be a part of these tiers. These tiers shouldn't just be product based. They should represent something that has to do with your missions, your morals, and your purposes. Now, obviously, before you set this up and you launch it and you allow people the opportunity to become subscribers for the serialization of your book, make sure that you have chapters. Make sure that you have a book that's done, because think of it, if you have a book that's 70 chapters or 50 chapters or 40 chapters, that's 40 weeks minimum. So now you're ahead of the game, right? And 40 weeks is what is that 10 months, right? If every month is on average 4 weeks, right? But you're not racing to get a chapter out if you have the backlog. You need a backlog, okay? Because in reality, the serialization element, it thrives on consistency and continuation, momentum of being continued each week. So you want to really make sure that you have at least the first 20 chapters done. And the only reason, because that's 20 weeks. That's 20 weeks. 20 weeks is what? Was that 5 months? What is that? Yeah, because it's half of 20. Right? So there you go. All right. Also, it'll change the way you sort of write chapters, where like the ending should at least create a sense of intrigue or mystery or cliffhanger or a revelation. Remember, cliffhangers could also be revelations. They don't have to be dun dun duns or like, will they, won't they die? Will they, won't they make out? Will they, won't they be together? It can also just be a revelation. Like, I can't believe he was my brother, right? And then you go, that's stupid. And you go, well, soap operas exist for a reason. All right. Now, before I go any further, I'm actually going to give you a list. We're going to go through a list of things. But I just want to tell you some potential pitfalls for this. You don't want to give too much free content away to attract readers, but you also you don't want to hold back special materials for paying subscribers as well. Like, you want to be like paying subscribers. If you have fantasy books, you should have like specialty maps. If they finish the book, right? Let's say your book is 50 chapters and they finish the book and they've been paying your weekly subscription or your monthly subscription, whatever the case may be, is maybe they can either get the book like a hardcover version of the book or paper cover. At the end, they get the book, right? They get the whole book. Now you're thinking, well, that might not be worth it. Well, if let's say they pay $1 a week, which is on average, let's just say $5 a month, and your book is 50 chapters, or let's just say 40 chapters. That's 10 times 5, which is $50. And let's say a book costs I don't know, $15. Let's say $20 to publish. That's $30. And let's say it costs $6 to mail. You still made $24 off of that one book. but you also still get to keep them. Now, the other thing that's important is you could also do special deals. You go, hey, since you finished this book, I have a special edition of the book, right? That has asides. It's what you would call it, where the book is annotated, where it's set up. Basically, there's notes. There's like author notes within the book. It could have colorized maps, or whatever the case may be. And then you say, look, this book is for sale at a lower price. So let's say the book does cost you whatever it is, $15 to print, all right, or whatever, and it's going to cost $6 for shipping, and you say, all right, it's $40 or whatever it is. I don't know how much a hardcover would be right off the top of my head. If we did, let's see, Amazon hardcover book. Let's see, book hardcover books on sale. So like, look, you get what is that, $15? It's $20, $30. Look, that's not too bad. You get the whole Hobbit series for $34. So you could still make good money at the end. You say, look, I have this specialty book. You've read the whole series, the whole book. I have the specialty. It's discounted for you, and you could just buy the book that way. But you need the pitfall that I'm talking about is balance premium content with free stuff. Don't give away some really great stuff for free. You also want to manage the release schedule. Consistency is crucial. We talked about this, and you want to regularly release on the same day every week at the same time. But unlike traditionally published books, you'll often get feedback in real time. So be open to extreme constructive criticism. All right. Let's do this. A quick list to keep you on the right path. Now, keep in mind, this list will be in the free folder for you to download for free. I give a lot of stuff away for free because I love you people. So these are just things you could do. There are more, but you got to create a strong foundation. Always foundation development, right? And what does that mean? It means plan the entire novel, choose a platform, and test the platform. So you want to outline your novel carefully. If you're going to write chapter by chapter, but again, I recommend having 20 to even having the first book done before you start. You want backlog because you're going to consistently always be writing. And remember, you also don't have to write a novel. You could just write a story that just goes on forever, like a campaign, like you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's a love story. Maybe it's a romantic story, and it's just the life of this couple. Of course, you want resolutions. You want, like in a TV show, there are episode arcs, and then there's season arcs, but then, the show goes on, right? So you can have these arcs that feel like complete stories, but if you're writing without the idea of ever releasing a book, and it's just going to consistently be chapter after chapter, just have these ongoing arcs. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying plan and outline and make sure you know where you're going. So you could have these waves going up and down. The second thing is you want to develop a content schedule. All right. And this is about setting a weekly release. You want to prepare a buffer or some sort of automatic social media publisher. And of course, you want to make sure you have bonus content already in the bank. Now, why do you want to do this? Well, because you want to always be publishing on the same day every day for the weekly content. But throughout the week, you want to also start building your social media, or at least have your social media built, where you are establishing routine. The next chapter is coming out on Thursday, or whatever the case may be, right? For anyone who wants to see, I just released the map for any free subscribers to my Patreon. It's available for the new story. Or I released the opening scene to chapter 1 for the free subscription, or whatever the case. Like, allow your social media to be consistently interacting, but also let your social media tell your journey. Let it tell your adventure, so that's important. But your behind the scene, your bonus stuff needs to be like world building elements, describing things, law. You can describe world law without giving away plot or your story, because you could talk about a thousand years earlier. You could talk about a distant area within your world. You could talk about, like, for example, I have oh, one second. Like, I have the Atkids, or I have, which is a species of it's a species, right? So, but I also have, Nudragas, right? Or no, Nodragas, Sudragas. I have Nudiri. I have the Minotaurs. I have gods. So I could talk about those gods. I could even write like a short 500 to 1,000 word moment or scene with these characters, just so you could see the characters' personalities and stuff like that. And obviously do Q&As. 3, you want to build your audience, obviously. Now, build your audience before your book is done, and then continue to build your audience after you start your subscription base. And you do this through many a means. Obviously, social media, right? Social media is a good starting place. But this is where they don't tell you. This is where the experts don't tell you. They just say social media, pay for ads. Ads are good, but let me tell you a secret. Press. Get press, get interviews, be it on a podcast because you don't have a huge brand yet, or maybe you do, whatever. So you go wherever you can go, but make sure those podcasts fit and represent your brand, your missions, have similar moral integrity, have similar missions, etc. They don't have to be identical. They just have to be similar. Like, obviously, you don't want to go on a podcast that don't fit your moral beliefs. Like, let's say you go on it and then they just talk about like how terrible people are, and you're like, "Ooh, this might not." I know it's a writing show, but this might not be the show I want to be on, right? But again, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they're pushing. They're very confident on, like, save the dolphins, and you're like, well, I'm okay with dolphins being saved. Like, I'm not against that, but it doesn't really fit my brand. Like, I'm not trying to raise money for dolphins. I'm trying to maybe raise awareness for mental health. Maybe mental health is important to you, and you're like, maybe I should go on podcasts that have they don't have to all be podcasts that deal with mental health, but I know that this podcast touches on mental health. But if a podcast is about writing and it's all about dolphins and animals and animal reserves, and that's not really your thing, it's okay not to necessarily, you can still go on there, but that would be like a last resort. You want to fit within your brand's message so you can elevate that message. um but more importantly, you should be trying to get on college radio. You should be trying to get on AM, FM radio. And these are all possible through networking opportunities, building relationships with your community. If people or people who know people have been on these stations or channels, if you have friends or family or anybody associated with the industry, even colleges, teaches in colleges, right? If you are friends with your professors from college, you can talk to them and maybe they can introduce you to somebody. Because again, remember, a lot of these stations in the college radios are ran by students. So um, your job is to get press. Press is so important because press gets your voice out there, and your voice is going to talk about things, and the things you talk about will represent your brand. Now, the things you talk about are not buy my book or subscribe to my subscription base. It's talk about things. Just have conversations, whatever it is. Just let it be a conversation. If they ask you about your book, believe it or not, like, the real thing to do is to kind of slowly answer, like quickly answer, I should say, quickly answer the question, but then turn it into something that's a little bit more interesting about your brand. Because remember, no one knows your books; they haven't read them yet, but they're listening to you. So are you selling them, or are they listening to somebody they can relate to because you're talking about things they can relate to? Maybe like your journey as a writer, maybe like the things you care about. And this is how you connect with them through press. Press, 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 press. That'll help build your audience. I'd also save up money as much as you can, put it aside. So instead of going on vacation, you get it where you can afford to have a PR or a publicist for 3 months. 4, set up your tier base. So figure it out. Is it $5 for weekly chapters? Is it $10? Is it $20 a month? Whatever the case may be, figure out what it is per month, and then or week, whatever the case is, and then figure out what you can do for that value. So is $10 a month for early access, exclusive behind the scenes stuff? Is it for they could get on the live Q&A thing? Maybe you also are a developmental editor. So or maybe you are a teacher of writing. So you can charge them X amount of dollars for just reading the book, or you could charge them X amount of dollars. They get a chapter of the book every week, and then once a month or twice a month, they can do a live thing with you, and they're a part of a group, and you basically teach them writing stuff and you go over stuff. So maybe they get a benefit like that. Maybe you teach, maybe you're good at making maps, so maybe you have a map making session. Whatever the case may be, figure out what the value is for that return. Remember, it's not just about making money, it's about finding solutions for your readers and also giving them high quality value. Okay. Wow. Excuse me. Now remember, you want to engage with your audience. Not like, will you marry me? But if they comment, you comment, especially in the beginning. Now, obviously, if you have thousands upon thousands of comments, like if you're going to, Thomas, I have 100 a day. I can't, within reason. Within reason. But when you're building your audience, it's important to interact, especially with the people that are consistently commenting. Give them your time. They're giving you yours. They're giving you theirs. All right. You want to allow yourself live opportunities. You want to allow yourself discussion opportunities. You want to allow them to feel like they're a part of the situation. So, create opportunities for engagement with your audience and engage with them. You want to consistently promote what you can. Now, again, you do need to say, hey, chapter release this Saturday or this Friday or whatever the day is, right? Maybe occasionally you say, hey, I got some discounts, and immediately, occasionally, you do some cross promotion with other authors and writers, right? You do deals. You go, hey, listen, I'll promote you this month and you promote me this month. Or, hey, why don't we all promote each other this month, right? But your promotion should also be promoting your brand, what you represent, your missions, your morals, your purposes. What does that mean? Well, I have videos on marketing. I implore you to watch those. But more importantly, the reason is because if you try to push your products, you do two things. You push people away and you push an agenda, right? So in reality, it should be, if people connect with what your stories are about, maybe like mine are about found families, it's about the underdogs, it's about working together in community, it's about healthy communication and healthy relationships, even though people argue and fight and have disagreements and aren't always on the same page. But the healthy relation element is that they can disagree and still be friends, family, or lovers. They can push back on ideas and still respect one another. They can, right? So that's an example of healthy. So I like to talk about those things. I like to showcase those things. I deal with chronic depression because I have chronic depression. I'm a cancer survivor, so it's important to me for these things, right? I'm living with restrictive lung disease. I'm basically a walking issue. But I talk about these things. I talk about my hardship and how I work through it because I want to hopefully inspire just one person to know that it's okay to keep going, right? Because when I'm having a bad day, the way I work through it is I try to represent my bad day and what I'm dealing with to show people that it is possible to still push forward, that it's still possible to be successful in life, that it's still possible to be creative. So that's all part of my brand because it is who I am. And that's the important part about a brand is who are you? And a lot of those things are in my books too. They might not be directly there, but there are representations of these ideas depending on the book, Also, you want to maintain quality. Make sure that you edit your chapters. Make sure your work is cleaned up and it's formatted and it's all these wonderful things. Okay. I would also monitor feedback. So if the feedback is coming back going like, yo, this person doesn't edit. Like I keep finding grammatical errors. Maybe it's time to hire an editor. 8. You want to trap track subscription data, right? Subscriptor data. Dyslexia. Uh, so you want to make sure that you're keeping track who's paying, who's not paying, who's gotten their books or their chapters, who has gotten their extra stuff, like who's getting what and who's not getting what. Make sure everybody's up to date. Make sure you're up to date. More importantly, right? I got two more things, 9 and 10. So 9 is provide completion incentives. So offer perks for loyalty. Give long-term subscribers exclusive rewards such as signed physical copies, extra chapters, or access to spin-off series. One of the things that's included in my subscription base, because I'm going to be doing this myself, I've been building up some things to do this. I am going to have basically alternate versions of chapters, basically like the director's cut version of a chapter. Because when you're writing, you should be writing just to write, get out the story. And then you realize, wow, this is a very long story. But there are scenes that you really love, but you're like, this scene is good, but maybe I want to take it out. So one of those things, I'm going to have like scenes that I cut. I'm going to have alternate versions of chapters. I want to show people the outlining process, because that's one of the big things about my brand is I show you the process in real time. So people who read a chapter, I will then also give them, like, let's say they're a couple chapters ahead, I'll give them an outline of a chapter as well. And I'll be like, this is the process. So they'll see the outline, they'll see the zero draft, they'll see the first draft, second draft. So they get to see the drafted versions. And that's something people can play with, Brandon Sanderson does that too. He has a Way of the Kings, like one of his first drafts, available for free. All right. Number 10. Wait. At the end of the novel, encourage subscribers to stay in for the next project, because you want them to keep going. So just because a book ended doesn't mean that it ended. And of course, please, for the love of God and humanity, or whoever you believe in or don't believe in, for the love of agnostics, follow legal and financial practices. Make sure payment process is legal and through subscription-based platforms, and they're secure and reliable payment options. You want to protect your intellectual property. You can do this in many different ways, from keeping track of it through the computer once it's initially created, but also you could copyright your outline and your loose outline and your treatments, and you don't have to have a full completed book to outline a story, just for the record. But you can. And of course, please remember to pay your taxes. All right. Final thoughts. Serialization isn't just a business model, it's a creative opportunity that allows you to grow as a writer while building meaningful connections with the readers, because it's a weekly invitation into the world. Each chapter you release is a chance to refine your storytelling, but also enjoy the response from your audience. You're basically creating a serialized format that is real time. It's in real time that the readers get to, so when you have a book and you sell your book, they read it and then they leave a review. And sometimes they buy a romance book. They have never bought a romance book. And then they leave a comment that says, I have never bought a romance book. I hate romance. This book was just filled with romance. It was terrible. 1 star. And you're like, why did you even leave that review? You're reading something outside your norm. But in this situation, you're giving somebody is getting the chapter, and then because it's through a platform that allows them to comment instantly, you're learning in real time. They're getting to enjoy it in real time. So you don't have to always wait to hear back from them, which is always a nice part of the motivation, especially when they're like, why did you kill this character? And you're like, well, because they got killed. So whether you're going to basically publish a book or not, or go this serialized route, remember that it is a process. Now, the longer your book is, obviously, the more people have to, right? So if they're paying $5 a month, right, and that gets them a chapter a week and like maybe 2 extra things a month, like behind the scenes stuff, right? Let's say your book is, we'll just say 50 chapters. 50 chapters, okay, divided by 4. That's 12 months. So a 50 chapter book covers the whole year. All right. So 12 times 5, that's $60. I'm just saying. $60. $60. All right. Then you're saying, but Tom, what's the point? Well, that's one person. If you have 10 people, that's $600 a year. And you're like, Tom, that's not enough to pay my bills. I understand. But when you're starting out, your goal is to build your subscription lists, your subscriber, your newsletter. You're supposed to build your platform. You're supposed to build your subscribers. So let's say you have 1,000 people. That's $60 a year. That's $60,000 a year just for 1,000 subscribers, right? Now, obviously, 60 times 100 is 6,000. That's not a lot. I get that. However, if you did, let's see, what is it? 300? 300 is 18,000. So it does build up pretty quick. So, like, if you could build the numbers, right? 500 subscribers is 30,000 a year. Now, after taxes, you'll probably bring back, what is that? 30,000 times, let's say 33%. So you're still bringing home. So that's $9,900 out of that. So minus 9. So you bring home 20 grand, right? But that's still it's still a fair amount of money, especially if you have a part-time job at that point. But your goal is to get 1,000, because if you could get 1,000 times $60, that's $60,000. Let's do the math for times 33%. Of course, it's a little different than that. All right, so 19,800, right? So let's see, minus 19,800. So you're looking at 40,000 a year. 1,000 subscribers. Your goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers, but you won't hit that on day one, and you won't hit that on day two. However, you might hit a couple of maybe 10 or 15 people on launch. You might hit 20 or 30 people on launch. It just depends on how productive you are with your pre-marketing and getting the numbers in and getting people aware of what's going on, and do it. But Thomas, why is that even worth it? Well, let's say you sold. Let's say you sold 1,000 books. So it's 1,000 times. Let's say you made $10 on each book. That's $10,000 for the year. 1,000 books sold. You're welcome. All right. Next video in the series. More business of writing, building your author platform. We will discuss the importance of social media, author websites, and email lists for building a dedicated readership, which would also help your serialization. Question: have you ever followed a serialized story online? What kept you coming back? I'd sure love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, if you haven't done so already and you like what you're watching, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'll talk to you soon. Keep developing the right mindset. Bye.